Right now, things are going well. So I'll tell you who I am right now. Right now, I am a best-selling author. I have a real estate portfolio in the millions. I've been talking to people from all over the world, such as you wonderful people this morning. I have students in 117 countries. I've been able to travel a lot. I've been to 7 countries in the past, lived in 7 countries in the past 12 months. And so that's just a little bit about me so that you know who I am. And by the way, these students of mine, all of this information I give away for free because I think business education is just so valuable and it's so life changing that people from all over the world can benefit.
Kadeem, are you here? I see that you're in the room. Are you able to turn on your camera? There you are.
Hey everybody.
Good morning.
Hi Kate, how you doing?
Lovely to have you. Thank you so much for being here today.
Well, thank you.
I'm just going to turn on my recording here.
Sure, of course. So I actually have a presentation that I wanted to present to everyone. And so why don't I pull that up right now and then actually cover some of those questions. And then towards the end, we can get into a little bit of question and answers and, we can have a bit of interaction towards the end there.
I love that.
Sounds great? All right, fantastic. Let me go ahead and get that presentation up and we can go for it. Okay, so I think I'll just share the screen then. Can everybody see that?
Just give it a sec. There you go. Yep.
Can everybody see that?
Yep.
All right, fantastic. All right, so here we go. So, how to be successful in 2024. So, I have 3 stories for you guys today that I'm really excited to share. Let me just close down the Microsoft Teams here. Fantastic. So, I have 3 stories I'm going to share with you guys today that really encompasses some of the skills that I think are necessary and that I've seen from other, successful investors, real estate business owners, CEOs be successful in 2024. And so these are my personal stories that I think you'll find interesting. So I've lost everything twice in my life. The last story is actually the second time I've lost everything. But we'll come back to that in a second. Right now, things are going well. So I'll tell you who I am right now. Right now, I am a best-selling author. I have a real estate portfolio in the millions. I've been talking to people from all over the world, such as you wonderful people this morning. I have students in 117 countries. I've been able to travel a lot. I've been to 7 countries in the past, lived in 7 countries in the past 12 months. And so that's just a little bit about me so that you know who I am. And by the way, these students of mine, all of this information I give away for free because I think business education is just so valuable and it's so life changing that people from all over the world can benefit. And so this is a little bit about who I am. But I tell you that so that you know that you're talking to someone that knows what they're talking about, not to brag, because it wasn't always like this. November 2021, my company expanded into Atlanta for the very first time. Now, by the end of the year, we had 3 properties under management in Atlanta. So we're a property management company. We got the first house on the right and the second house, third house on the left. And what happened in November 2021 is probably the worst thing that could happen for someone that just expanded into a city. It's cold in Atlanta, Georgia in November 2021. And in 1 week, 2 heaters went down back to back during winter. Panic. I actually saved a screenshot of that because I couldn't believe what was happening. This is November 6th, 2021. This is the messages going on in the group chat. Absolutely everyone losing their minds. Now, because there's no central heat, as you can imagine, we lost a lot of money, right? Because we had to relocate people, we had to get heaters in, the electricity bill for that month was huge. But because we had a few rules, I didn't lose everything. Those 2 rules were, I'm going to share them with you, break even and cash reserves. The break even rule for the company is whenever we invest money, we don't move on to another property or another investment until we make that money back. And so when those 2 properties broke down, we actually were not in the red, even though we lost money. because we still had the money that we used for the first property that we could use to hold us over for those couple weeks where there was no heat. And then the second rule is to have cash reserves, 3 to 6 months for each investment just in case it goes wrong. The good thing is that I never had to touch those cash reserves. Great. So those two rules saved us. But here's what the lesson is for this first story. Self-education never really stops. The numbers just get bigger and bigger, but if your education stops, then you would not be able to solve these problems. Those rules and that system that we had for that company saved us in November 2021. But it was a rule that I adopted from other people in the industry that helped me to learn from that problem before it even came to me. And so even though the numbers get bigger, self-education doesn't stop. And so here's what I will say to you as college students. You are all in the same classroom, all in the same university, learning the same things. But what gives you an advantage is everything that you learn outside of the classroom. Every mentor, every CEO, every accountant, every practitioner, every real estate developer that you talk to, that gives you an advantage. Because if everybody learns the same thing, then that becomes the average. But if you want to be above, then it's everything that you learn outside of the classroom. And so it's both, right? And that's the first lesson. Learning never stops. The next story is something I rarely talk about publicly. And it's actually when my book came out. January 2021, I was preparing for my book launch. Now, the book did well. It's a bestseller. I really appreciate that. I appreciate everyone who has bought that book. And it still does well today. However, January 2021, after almost 2 years of writing, I needed to promote the book. And so I had new problems to face. 2 years of writing, I thought that was the hard part, but now we actually need to make sales. And so then here's what happened. My plan was to collect reviews from everyone I could. Government officials, college administrators, even the president of the university, if I could. And I tried. Email campaigns, calling campaigns to about 50 people because I chose 50 people who had an audience of 2,000, 10,000, 15,000 people, because if I got to these 50 people, then I would effectively be able to reach 100,000 people. So then I selected my 50 people carefully and then went after them religiously over the course of 2 months. And so what most people do in order to launch a book is that they have a few pictures on social media, right? I'm sure you probably have seen friends do this, a few pictures, a video or two, and then they launch and then they sell 24 copies. But it's the first time that I'm going to talk about this behind the scenes. And so here's actually what happened for me. The first thing that we did, as you already know, contact list of 50 key people, email campaigns, calling campaigns. And that email campaign was actually 3-5 emails back to back every 3 days, every 4 days. And then also calling people on the phone. Hey, I would love to get your endorsement on this book. Could you read it? Tell me what your thoughts are. Give me a quote so that I can include it in the book. Then booking 2 speaking engagements a week for 2 months. That's 2 a week. So not only do I have to do the engagements and make them do well, but then I also have to book them, which is more calling and more emailing. About 15 events in 2 months. So I was able to speak to people from Canada, from California, from Jamaica, from Turks and Caicos, from New York, from Florida, and Texas. But I was able to do that because of this consistent effort. Weekly YouTube video series that started 6 months prior. So the book came out in March 2021. The YouTube series started in October. 6 months. Every week, a new video was released. And they're still on YouTube to this day. An Instagram challenge that came out in January, and then daily content that continued for 3 months prior to that book launch. Over 200 calls in 1 month. 3 different photo sessions, so that the 2 weeks where my book was launched, 30 different photos came out. And each photo was a different scene, different outfit with the book in different places. So it was always engaging and always new. in-person meetings with endorsers, 6 to 8 visits per person, and library outreach so that we could get the book into multiple libraries, which they still are to this day. So, what was the result? These are just some of the reviews that came out on book launch day. You can see people from the administration of the university, students, people from high school, professors, people from all across the country were able to do this because of the effort that was put in prior to the book coming, which is separate from the book launching. I'm just showing you the work that happened behind the scenes. But there was one more thing that I wanted to do for launching the book. I really wanted to get the president of my university to endorse my book. But as you can probably see here, the president wasn't up there. But here's what happened. I'm not sure if you know this, but it's not that easy to get to the president of a university, right? There's everyone below him, there's the vice president and the executive branch of the university, and there's the president himself or herself. In this case, he was a male. And so to get to them and to get to him, I had to keep going back. So then what I did was 2 weeks of stopping by every single day until eventually, every time I stopped there, people knew my name and what I came for. Hey, Kadeem is back. Let me try to see if he's in. Okay? I did that every day for 2 weeks. And eventually, he finally said no. But what he did agree to was to support my marketing with the university website. Now think about this. I'm only a student, right? Not nationally recognized, no large social media following. But what the university president just did was to give me access to a marketing team for a university that reached the nation and potentially internationally, because it's a university. One of the top universities in the country was now my marketing team. And here's what happened. The week of my book launch, everyone saw this on the front page of the university. But even though the president said no, I still got this opportunity to have a marketing team from a university behind me. And so everyone, every student in the university saw it, every professor, alumni, everyone knew about the book. And potentially, again, it became international. From that article, I was able to go on national TV. And so I'm showing you behind the scenes that it didn't happen by accident. How do you create a bestseller? Well, I'm showing you. And so then here's the lesson. It's actually 10x the output that people assume that it is. It's not you just do a few pictures and then it becomes something that's great. It's actually you can force your way into success, bootleg yourself into success because of the work that you put in prior. And everyone will acknowledge and admire your effort because we like to root for the underdog. And so if you do it the same way, not the same way as me, but if you 10x your output is what I mean, it will be almost impossible that you will not beat everybody else. Creativity and discipline. There's one more story. August 2017, I started my real estate journey for the very first time. No, I was broke. This was the second time that I lost everything. I was the first year in college. I had nothing. No. What I did was I had a room rented in a single family house. That's where I was staying. It was a 5-bedroom house. There were 2 other people in the house. 3 bedrooms were empty. Right? So I went to my landlord and I proposed, what if I moved out of my room and put my room for rent so I could make my rent? Right? I put my room on Airbnb, VRBO, Craigslist, Booking.com, all of those things. And in the first month, I made my rent. By the second month, I made more than my rent. In the third month, I doubled my rent. And so now I was actually making money for that room while I stayed home and slept on the couch, of course. But here's what everyone it transformed into. In December 2017, just 3, 4 months after that, I had moved from just a student tenant into the property manager for that house. And I now had 3, 4 bedrooms in that house that I was managing as a student. I moved from a broke, desperate college student to a hero. But why? Why did that happen? Necessity. Here's the thing. Necessity is the mother of all inventions, and we know that. Now, it's credited by Plato, but I'm not sure if it was Plato, but I just put Plato there because most people think it is Plato. But the essence is true. Necessity is the mother of all inventions. If we need to create something, we will find a way if we're desperate enough. But here's the thing. I'm sure most of you have heard this saying before. I just want to be comfortable, right? I just want to not have to worry about bills, right? I'm sure you've probably said that, or you've heard people say it, or perhaps someone in your family has said it before. But we are all business students. I'm a student of business for life, right? And we all know what inflation is. If you are just comfortable, just because of inflation and prices of everything goes up, what happens after 10 years? Your life gets worse just because of inflation. And so, complacency actually robs the dream. And that actually makes the story of the hare and the tortoise very applicable. Because if you are just comfortable, right now you may be in the best university that you've gotten into and you're getting comfortable. You may graduate and you get the best job of all of your friends, and you may have more money than all of your high school friends, and you may get comfortable. I've made it. But that's what comfort is. And complacency has robbed more dreams than failure ever could. So then, what if you could stay in that developer mode? What if you can stay in that hunger mode, that necessity mode, for 2 decades, 3 decades? What happens? That is how you create Tesla, and Amazon, and Apple, and Virgin Atlantic, and all of these other major companies. This is how you stay hungry and you keep creating and keep putting yourself in the mode that you need to make it work. And so here's what happens. If you combine these 3 stories, it leads to actually one conclusion. I promised you I would show you how to be successful in 2024. If you 10x your output, apply creativity with discipline, and stay in developer mode, you will succeed. Because if you combine all of these things, it will make it near impossible that you don't exceed, that you don't succeed everybody else and exceed all of the expectations, because you will outlast everyone else. 10x the output, creativity, discipline, and staying in that developer mode. I digress. I'll open the floor for questions. I thank you.